Virtual productions are really intimidating. Unreal Engine, character tracking, radiance fill, all of that techno talk kept me from taking on any virtual productions. But once I looked past all of the big words, I quickly realized that at the heart of it all, it's just shooting in front of a screen. So I took on the challenge and ended up creating this masterpiece. Now, being that it was a product shoot, there was a lot more leniency than if we were shooting, say, someone and trying to make it look like if they were in like a desert or somewhere. But all of the rules that would come into play in that situation still applied for us. We still had to light our talent in a way that would match the background. And I know saying it like that makes it really sound simple, but there's a lot more that goes into these types of productions than first meets the eye. So I'm gonna tell you all about it and give you the secret sauces that I came about with the experience. Okay, so this all started with me and my DP Adam coming together to shoot some content for my YouTube channel. After being convinced that I needed to become sufficient in virtual productions, we decided to do a product shoot with his LG TV as our LED wall. So I decided to go with a liquor product because, it was fight weekend, so two birds, one stone, right?
I can smell that liquor on your breath.
I've been drinking, bitch.
So first, we went to the nearest liquor store and we looked around for some interesting looking bottles. We ended up picking 3, and though I think the most interesting one was the Black Sheep bottle, I think we ultimately gravitated to the bottle with the X on it because it immediately gave us the idea of like pirates or, buried treasure. So we thought, let's go get some sand. So after picking up the sand from our local depot store, we shot in my small shed with my very insignificant lights, my Amaran 100D and my one Amaran T2C that is broken and won't go lower than 5,000 Kelvin. And this is what we made. Which isn't super spectacular, right? But it was a start. We both knew that, okay, I got my feet wet a little, but it didn't really count as far as like a virtual production, especially not enough to do a thorough YouTube video on, right? So I decided, let's go hard. Let's create an A1 tequila commercial for the best looking bottle, the Black Sheep tequila. And this is when I ran into my first problem. So I drunk the bottle, fight night. I wasn't playing with y'all. Right after I drunk it, I went to get another and discovered it was actually the designer bottle that they sold me by accident instead of the regular bottle. Now, moving forward, I went to 7 other liquor stores and I still couldn't find this bottle. Eventually, what I had to do is I called a friend of mine, Brent, and asked if he could find it. Now, Brent spent $40 more on the bottle than I did. But moving on. So, I built the treatment in Adobe Spark with the assistance of Midjourney AI to produce the imagery. I then booked my favorite studio to film at, Studio Space Atlanta, to shoot the commercial because I knew that Studio Space had an LED wall. Okay, I'll be fair. It's more like a panel, but for me, I wasn't going to be able to get it at the price that I was going to get it there at any other studio. Now, I knew I wanted to mix fashion with the tequila, something similar to the Daniel Craig Belvedere vodka commercial, but I wanted to mix in a little more traditional product style visuals. So concerning the model, I went with Brooklyn Wilkes, because I knew she would kill it. And I wouldn't have to over-direct her and give her a ton of notes, which would put me in a position to shine in the area of making sure that the story came together the way that it needed to. And then for the graphics, I would put behind the bottle. I turned to ArtGrid where I knew I would get some of the best unlimited stock footage. I searched for golden images, lines, golden walls. I also gathered anything that made me think of the process of making tequila, like blue agave, clocks, water, etc., etc. And lastly, a day before the shoot, we decided we wanted to do a blood moon scene. So I hopped over to Midjourney and created a few images. I then took those images into an AI called Runway, which will take your images and give them movement. So for instance, if there's water in the photo, it'll make the water move. If there's a blanket in the frame, it'll make that blanket flow like wind is blowing. And in my case, make fog and clouds move. I was even able to animate the blood moon as well. So now that I had all of my elements, it was time for the shoot. We opted to shoot on the Alexa LF partnered with the Nisi Athenas. Our first and only scene that wasn't on the LED wall featured modeling shots of Brooklyn on a psych wall. Before we get to the LED shots, let's quickly touch on how we lit this scene first. We achieved the blue background with 2 Amaran F22Cs set to a blue color. We then used a 300C off of camera left as a sort of rim or edge light to give Brooklyn a little kiss of that blue. If you look closely, you can see it playing off of her black jacket. And then lastly, we blasted 2 aperture novas through some diffusion to Kier. I originally was thinking I wanted to do a slash of light, but I think it looked great how it was. The only other thing I'd like to mention is we used this sort of crane jib piece of equipment that Adam owns for some cool jib shots. But since the floor was a little uneven, we couldn't do as much with it as we originally wanted. But it still was pretty cool and we got some pretty cool shots. Especially partnering it with 90 frames per second and getting some really sweet slow motion. I mean, like some sexy slow motion. We hit her with the fan and it was magical. Okay, on to our next setup, which is what you guys came for, the LED wall. We popped things off with the blood moon scene. We loaded everything onto the computer, connected to it, and in quick time, we were able to control it at will. So I put the video on repeat while we worked on the lighting. We used our 2 novas as our far side key, shooting them through a 6x. I'm not 100% sure if it was bleached or unbleached. I just know it was a 6x diffusion frame. Of course, we set it to that red color. We then matched the 300C to that red and hit her on the backside. You can see it playing on the silver top a little bit. That was pretty much it for that, but then we did add a really cool light gag with the flipped angle we got. So where we see her looking up into the moon, I inverted and scaled in on the image of the LED wall, and we sticked up on the camera. We then took a small tube, set it to that red color, and my brother waved it onto her face. This matched how I animated the blood moon in Runway. So we kept the same lighting and just added that small light gag. And then for our shot with the bottle in front of the moon, we simply just removed the diffusion from in front of the novas and then added an Amaran 60X above the bottle as a hair light, top light, because bottles don't have hair. On this shot, you can really see where the LED wall shines, being able to see all that red through the translucent bottle. That's all the working of the LED wall. Now, breaking down the next scenes, you're about to find out why I will for sure be doing a lot more virtual productions in the future. But before I reveal that reason, if you're enjoying this content, let's hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so I can keep making this kind of content. Alright, the next scene featured the clock background. We brought back in the diffusion and then changed the novas and the 300C to 5600 Kelvin. And concerning changes, that's it. That's the thing that I loved the most. We were able to make minimalistic adjustments to get the looks we needed. Brooklyn on gold, we kept the lights in the same place again and simply changed the 300C to this amber color. We put the novas around 3800 Kelvin. And then hit it with a little bit of secret sauce, and I'm dead serious about secret because Adam refused to tell me what this piece of gear was. Adam added this really cool reflective dish thing that added some amazing reflections onto my talent skin. And then again, we rinsed and repeated with the bottle shot, but we added a kick to this one. So like we did before, we once again removed the diffusion from the novas and brought in that 60X for a top light. But what we did to add a really cool twist on this shot is we implemented a small cup and placed both the cup and the bottle on a sheet of black acrylic I ordered off of Amazon. Now what this black acrylic did is it reflected everything. It reflected the flashing graphics from the LED wall, as well as the bottle and the cup. Between it and seeing the reflections in both the cup and the bottle, this may have been my favorite shot. This may have been my favorite look. Okay, really quickly, I need to show you how I added finishing touches to these shots in post, because when I looked at the footage, I realized there was a problem. So with the LED wall, we got these artifactual looking blocks in camera on the LED wall. I'm not 100% sure if this was because we were too close to the LED wall, if that was the issue, or what, but I did have a pretty simple fix. So what I did is in post, I slapped on a Gaussian blur and I masked around the subject. Did a little bit of feathering, and that was all that was needed. Let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see a video of the complete edit. But other than that, I think it came out really great. So it goes without saying, I'll definitely be doing a lot more shoots like this, and I encourage you to as well if you're not. But in the meantime, in between time, I may put the commercial up here in the corner. Or I may not. Who knows?